Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start with the prayers. Please chant along with me. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Then the teacher-student mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Then Mahamrityunjaya mantra as a prayer for everyone who is in suffering. Om Trayambakai Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everybody. So today's class will start with chanting of the tables. So remember, there were two tables created, one for the nominal words and another for the verbal. So we will do the chanting of those words, and that's how I would expect that you would keep doing to get a sense of the tables. So if you remember, I already told you that the best way to actually memorize the things in Sanskrit is not somehow mugging up, but just to keep chanting loudly again and again, and then that's how you memorize. So this is declensions of Rama. What I'll try to do right now, I'll try to unmute you all, and we'll see that if we can chant together. That way I can hear also how you are chanting. So, and then after this I'll mute you all. So if you get a request that host is requesting you to unmute, feel free to unmute. Okay, and please turn off your videos. So please try not to have any background sound. Maybe I'll say the word Ramaha and you will repeat after me.
Ramaha.
So, Ramaha.
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 Ramena. Ramabhyam. Ramaihi. Ramaya. Ramabhyam. Ramebhyah. Ramat. Ramabhyam. Ramebhyah. Ramasya. Ramayoho. Ramanam. Rame. Ramayoho Rameshu He Rama He Ramau He Ramaha. So now next what I'll do, I'll chant the whole row and then you will chant after me. Okay, so the whole one row at a time. So we'll try this one now. Ramaha Ramau Ramaha Ramam Ramau Raman Ramena Ramabhyam Ramaihi Ramaya Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramat Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramasya Ramayoho Ramanam Rame Ramayoho Rameshu He Rama He Ramau He Ramaha. Once more we'll do the same thing. The whole row I'll chant and you repeat after me. Ramaha Ramau Ramaha Ramam Ramau Raman Ramena Ramabhyam Ramaihi Ramaya Ramabhyam Ramebhyah. Ramat Ramabhyam Ramebhyah. Ramasya Ramayoho Ramanam Rame Ramayoho Rameshu He Rama He Ramau He Ramaha. Okay, so you got some idea that how do we chant this table, and then we will do the bulk table. So eventually you should be able to chant it continuously together without necessarily breaking in between the lines. So do it multiple times in a day and you will see that how does it automatically come to you. The word meanings of these words we will discuss later. So we have not yet discussed what are the meanings of these words. So that we will discuss later. Okay. So now we will go on to the next slide, that is Dhatu Rupa. And we will do the same thing, that I would chant one by one and you will repeat after me. This one would be more familiar to you because we have already worked on this table. And sorry for this separate video clip coming in between the class. What had happened was we had some disturbance in the original class. There was a dialog box on the screen which was blocking the view of the screen and learning could have been hampered. So I have taken this portion of the time for which the class was disturbed and re-recorded the same topic of Sandhi, which we will be covering today. So, as you know, Sanskrit grammar has some of the main topics listed here. So these are namely Sandhi, which happens when the two words are joined, Shabda Rupa, the nominal forms, verbal forms, compound words, primary nominal suffixes, and secondary nominal suffixes. Today we'll cover the first aspect, Sandhi. So when two words come together, or correctly speaking, two sounds come together, that result into a Sandhi. So when two sounds in Sanskrit come together, there is a Sandhi. It's not that always there will be a Sandhi when two sounds come together, but it may happen based upon certain rules. And because the sounds in Sanskrit correspond to the letters of the alphabet, essentially two letters coming together resulting into a Sandhi. So what happens as a result of Sandhi? Sometimes the first letter changes, sometimes the second letter changes, and sometimes both the letter changes. We'll see those examples and then you will understand more of those. The types of Sandhi. So there are primarily three types of Sandhis. There are some others, but right now we'll have our focus on these. Today the one which we will be covering is called Swara Sandhi. Swara means vowel. So vowel Sandhi. What does it mean is that I said two letters coming together, and how these two letters come together. These two letters come together when first letter is at the end of the first word and the second letter is at the start of the start of the second word. So that's how the two letters come together. So if I have an example here, for example, if I say cha plus asti, so akara here is the end of the first word, last letter of the first word, that is the first letter, and asti, this akara, is at the starting of the second word. So the sandhi will take place, akara plus akara, and we'll see some sandhi rules. This sandhi rule says akara plus akara becomes akara, and here we will have cha plus asti, chasti. Like that the word will change. Again, Swara Sandhi has a few variations. So these are the main variations of Swara Sandhi or the vowel Sandhi. The first one is Dirgha Sandhi, second is Guna Sandhi, and third is Jnana Sandhi. Our today's study will be confined to these three types of Swara Sandhi. So we'll cover these three in detail of today's class. In order to understand Sandhi better, you must have a very good knowledge of the Sanskrit alphabet. And here is the alphabet. you have this file in the repository, and these are the vowels. So because it is the Swara Sandhi, the vowel Sandhi we are discussing today, we will especially discuss about the vowels. But you must get the mastery of the alphabet as a whole in order to progress in Sandhi. And that will be true of any language. The very first step would be to master the alphabet, to understand the alphabet thoroughly. And Sanskrit has a very scientific alphabet, whereby every vowel, or every letter rather, its placement in the alphabet, where is it pronounced from, whether you exhale or not while pronouncing that letter. All these things play good part in Sandhi as well as other Sanskrit rules. So we'll see the vowels. So these are the vowels. For our purpose of today, we will just look at a few vowels. So I'm just rearranging them so that some things will be clear to you. So these are called similar vowels. Similar vowels means akara is similar to akara. For now, we will not consider these two, this particular column. Just this one and these four. So here the first column and the second column, they are considered similar to each other. That means akara is similar to akara, ikara is similar to ikara, ukara is similar to ukara, rukara is similar to rukara. And when I say here kara, this is simply referring to that particular sound, as we discussed in our earlier classes. If I just want to say a, I can say a, or to make it clearer, I say akara. Kara means to do, or doing that sound in this case. And that's how I refer to the consonants particularly, because consonant cannot be pronounced without vowels. So if you just have to say particular consonant, for example, ka, if you say ka, it means kakara as the consonant and akara as the vowel. So how do you say just the consonant? You say kakara. Kakara means just the K portion here without the consonant, which is not possible to pronounce by itself. Any sound, whether in Sanskrit or in English, requires a inherent vowel to pronounce. Like in K, when we say in English, even though we consider it as one letter, but that letter has an inherent vowel sound of A, K. So like that, to pronounce it. So in order to pronounce any sound, you need a vowel. So in Sanskrit, the tradition is that you put kara after that to indicate that that is the a standalone sound you want to refer to. So akara is similar to akara, ikara is similar to ikara, ukara is similar to ukara, and rukara is rekara. We will ignore this one because this is very rare. And rukara, even though technically only this sound exists and this does not exist, some places it is included. So I have just included for that purpose. But just to understand that technically only this sound is recognized as per Sanskrit grammarians. So this is anyway, even this sound is extremely rare. So we will not consider for our purpose today, just this. So they are called similar vowels. On the other hand, if you look at these 4 vowels, they are called dissimilar vowels. What does it mean is that there is no short or long. So here we can say short a, long a. So a, e, like this. So here it is short and long version. So that's why they are called similar vowels. Short version is similar to the longer version. Here ekara, aikara, okara and aukara, they are also vowels, but they are not called same vowels. What difference does it make? So there is a sandhi rule. So the very first sandhi rule is called dirgha sandhi, where it says 2 similar vowels, short or long, result into 1 long vowel. So that's where this distinction comes into play. So what it is saying that if any of these 2 vowels come into together as a result of 2 sounds coming together, they will always result into the one vowel, long vowel. So 2 sounds become 1 sound and it will become 1 vowel. So that's what the dirgha sandhi is. So here I have represented here in this manner, akara plus akara, akara, and when I am putting in the bracket, that means it is either short or long form of the vowel. So here vowels in the bracket indicate that either short or long form of the vowel. Similarly, ikara, ukara and rukara. So we'll see some examples. So one of the example of this kind we already saw, cha asti, chasti. Here akara plus akara became akara. But what basically we are saying here is that not just this, so it will be even this combination, akara plus akara will also be akara. Akara plus akara would be akara. Sorry, akara plus akara, and akara plus akara will also be akara. So you see the resultant is always long a. No, the only condition is that these 2 coming before have to be 2 vowels of the similar kind of akara. So they could be either short or long. Similarly, in case of ikara and ukara. So ikara, I will also have similarly ikara, because ikara plus ikara, and so on. So that's how you can understand in all these 4 vowels cases. So this is fairly simple, and we'll see some examples, and I'll take the examples from Bhagavad Gita so that you can have an understanding that how these things are applied in real life. Because one of the purpose we are studying Sanskrit, or the main purpose, is that we should be able to have an understanding of the scriptures, and therefore taking the examples from the scriptures is the best way to see the examples in action. Another thing about sandhi is that the individual words may be small, but when they come into sandhi together, and in the text you will find like one big word written, it may feel a very overwhelming. And once you understand sandhi rules, then it becomes quite manageable. So if you look at this word, it seems like, what kind of this word is this? How can I ever start making sense or start pronouncing? And this becomes much easier when you have the sandhi rule. So I have this verse covered in the sandhi, and here it is. So you see this word krupaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam. So first of all here krupaya avishtam ashru purna akula ikshanam. So many words they happen to come together because sandhi kept happening, and so if sandhi is happening, then you would have these words coming together. Also many a times, or most of the times, if a consonant is at the end and vowel is in the beginning of the next word, there is no sandhi technically speaking, but they are still written as one word. So if you understand the underlying words, it becomes very easy to split the sandhi. So when we put the words together, it is called sandhi. When we split them, then it's called vicheda. So the words are sandhi and vicheda, split and joining. So in order to understand any text, it is very important that you have to split the sandhi words, otherwise we can never make a sense of any text. And sandhi rules, of course, are very essential for that, but you also have to have the underlying knowledge of the words, because remember, like here I am saying cha plus asti chasti, but suppose I have this word in the text, and any of these four combinations are possible. So how do you know that it is only this? So that will be that when you have the underlying knowledge of the words, you will understand that these are the two valid combinations, two valid words, and therefore cha plus asti becomes chasti. Now, in Gita example, we were looking at, look at this word, krupaya vishtam. So krupaya. So even if the word is looking very long and you don't understand it, for our purpose of sandhi purpose, it is the last sound which matters. So here last sound is akara, and here is also akara. So akara plus akara would become akara only. So this is the example of this is the example of, we have akara plus akara is akara. So two similar vowels coming together becomes another, always the long vowel, resulting into long vowel. So this example is from Gita. As you can see, I have given the chapter and verse number. That then the Gita files are also available in the repository. You can see the verse and the translations there. Krupaya means with the compassion, and avishta means overcome with the compassion. So over here it is overwhelmed with pity. But meaning part is not very important to understand sandhi. It is important to understand the words and vocabulary, but just to understand the sandhi rules, that is not very important. You have to so we'll focus a little bit more on the structure today, but meaning also I'll try to explain. And then another sandhi which is happening of the same kind, dirgha sandhi, that is called dirgha sandhi. So within swara sandhi, dirgha sandhi, that means dirgha is long vowel. So because it results into the long vowel, resultant vowel is the long vowel, we call it dirgha sandhi. Another example you can see here is purna and akula. Purna and akula. And this has become purna akula. You will be seeing here A, that I'll explain later how it become A, but un plus akula will become purnakula. So in this example, we have akara plus akara is akara. So I hope that is clear to you. Similarly, it will take place in the ikara, ukara, and rukara. Now look at the second type. That's called guna sandhi. So we talked about similar vowels. Now the dissimilar vowels. So what happens when it is a dissimilar vowel? So dissimilar vowel means this is the first. So we'll take the example when this is the first vowel and any of these are the second vowel. So, and when dissimilar vowel is there, it could be either again short or long. So except the similar vowel, it could be any of these, not these though. There is a separate rule we'll cover in next class. But right now we are considering that similar vowel or dissimilar vowel where first vowel is either of these. So let me put this also. And the dissimilar vowel, that second vowel is either of these 6, and first is either of these 2. So what is the rule here? That when I put in the bracket that first is akara or akara and second is ikara, ikara, ukara, ukara, refa, then it changes into both of them together, change into akara plus ikara becomes ekara. So again here you have to understand the same way, because so here you have to understand that akara plus ikara will be ekara, akara plus ikara will also be ekara, akara plus ikara will also be ekara, and akara plus ikara will also be ekara, like that. So similarly with the ukara and rukara. So that is called guna sandhi. The name guna sandhi is coming because these 3 vowels, which are the resultant vowels, and here ar is not a vowel, but it is becoming as a result of akara plus refa. A only is the vowel here, not the refa. So when ra is written without any further vowels, we call it refa, and this we call rukara. So the reason, otherwise it could be confusing. So there is a special name for every other letter. We call it kara, but just for r or ra, we call it refa. So ekara, okara, and ar. That's how it happens. So if you look at Gita examples, we have here akula ikshanam. So here akara plus ikara, it will become akulekshanam. So here you can see the case which we are dealing here is akara plus ikara is ekara. So here this is the first, last letter of the first word is the first vowel. So these 2 are coming together. Similarly in every sandhi. So that's how the akara plus ikara becomes ekara. And you can see here clearly these two have become, and this becomes one word. So this is another thing you have to understand. Here I have put in that whether it results, there is a slide here and there is a flow chart that I have put in where it results into one word or two words. This flow chart is available on the repository also. So the resultant word is, so in Swara Sandhi, it's always that we will have the one word resulting. In the consonant and Visarga Sandhi, there could be different rules. So it becomes one word, as you can see here. So that's what I was telling you about, that why it is Purna Kulekshanam. Now it should be clear to you why A is coming instead of A. So first it was indeed Purna plus Akula, Purna Kula, and then Akula Ikshanam becomes Akulekshanam. So the whole thing becomes Purna Kulekshanam, like this. Then next type of Sandhi is Jnana Sandhi. Here the dissimilarity has the different thing. Here the dissimilarity is reversed. So reversed in the sense that these becomes the first vowel now. Ikara, Ukara or Ikara. And the second vowel could be either Akara or any of these also. It doesn't matter what is the second vowel, as long as it is dissimilar. So Ikara, Ukara, Rikara plus dissimilar vowel, here the second vowel does not change. So unlike the previous two cases where both of the vowels may resulting into the third vowel, here the resultant vowel does not change, undergo any change. The second vowel, only the first vowel undergoes a change. So that means if I have to write here, it would be Ikara plus Akara becomes Yakara plus Akara. So like, but we will write it like this. One Yakara, Yakara and Akara. So yeah. So you see here, Jnana Sandhi, Ikara plus vowel. So this second vowel is not changed. Only the Ikara changed to Yakara. So other case will be that if it is a long vowel, then also it remains the same, because whether Ikara is short or long, it changes into Yakara. However, unlike the previous cases where we had the both vowels could be short or long, here if I have the second vowel, because second vowel does not undergo change. So if second vowel is long, it remains long. So Ikara plus Akara becomes Ya. So similarly for U and Ru. We'll see some examples from Gita. So here also I'll put the split version for you. This is 212 verse. And you see here, Tvevaham. This is the word. Tvevaham. And this is the split of it. So it would be Tvevaham equal to Tvevaham. So essentially two different sandhis are taking place. So here what is happening, first tu plus eva becomes, so you see the sandhi is happening between okara and ekara, because the rule says the second vowel could be any dissimilar vowel. The first vowel, okara, would change into vakara. So Ukara will change into Vakara. So it will become like this. And then we have, once this is formed, then I will have Aham, and here this Akara plus Akara, this is Dirgha Sandhi, and therefore it becomes Tvevaham, like this. So that becomes the Yana Sandhi. And we also saw the Dirgha Sandhi. So no matter how many Sandhis come together, as long as they can come together, Sanskrit language will put one word for all of those. So splitting is always a difficult part, as you might have sensed by now, than joining. So you have to understand the rules of the language for joining in order to split, but also you have to understand the individual words. The knowledge of the vocabulary and other aspects of Sanskrit grammar is essential. And that's how all the languages work. You don't learn any particular feature of language in isolation, because it's the whole thing, it works together. Similarly, here you can see Janadhipa. This is also actually a compound word, which is, so this is also Jana plus Adhipaha. So here again Akara plus Akara becomes Akara. So this is a Dirgha Sandhi. So Sandhi is extremely common. Almost any verse of Gita you pick up, you will always find some Sandhi taking place. Similarly, Na ime, ne me. Now you can see Na ime, ne me, Akara plus Ekara, Ekara. So Akara plus Ekara, which one? Akara plus Ekara, Ekara. Guna Sandhi is taking place there. So this is the rules. We will just do 3 of today, these 3 subtypes. And similarly here another example I gave is Vyathayantyete. So Vyathayanti ete. So you can see here Ekara plus Ekara, it becomes, so what happened here, you look at, the rule is that Ekara plus any other vowel, dissimilar vowel, the second vowel remains unchanged, first vowel becomes Yakara. So here Ekara becomes Yakara and A remains the, no sorry, I put the wrong. So here, this one. And then A remains the same. So Vyathayanti, yes, but it will be written as one word. Vyathayantyete. So I hope with this it is clear to you. And of course, with this video, you can always pause and rewatch and understand these concepts better. Then we have the class exercise, and I will just, you can, I mean, even though I have put it here, the whole thing, but I would recommend you just to use the words and see if you can do the Sandhi by yourself. So you can take this exercise and then just see whether you can do these words or not by yourself. But here is the solution I just wanted to explain, because as I said, in the original video, we had this class exercise and we gave the time to the people to solve this exercise. Here you may have to write it down maybe, or take the screenshot. We have this class exercise also in our notes. You can take from class notes also. So whichever way you want to, but try to practice. And there are other exercises for practice, like in as per home exercises. So here if you see Pandava plus Anikam, Pandava Nikam. So Pandava is the name of the son of Pandu. Here Arjuna, or basically the side of Pandava, the sons of Pandu, their side. Anikam is army. So Pandava Anikam means army of Pandavas. Here it's the Dirgha Sandhi, as you can see. So this one resulting into this one. Akara plus Akara resulting into Akara. Akara, similar vowel. Akara resulting into Akara. Then Bhima plus Arjuna. These are the names of two of the brothers, Pandav brothers. So Bhima Arjuna means Bhima and Arjuna. These are the names. So again here is the Dirgha Sandhi. And Maha Ishu. So Ishu is arrow. And actually the total word here is, I have split it into two parts, but total word is Maheshwasaha. So this has been split into two sandhis, Maha plus Ishu. Maha means great, Ishu means arrow. And here you can see Akara plus Ikara, it is Ekara. Which sandhi is it? Akara plus Ikara. So Guna sandhi, where it is saying the dissimilar vowel. First is Akara, either short or long, and second is either of these, either short or long. So Akara plus Ikara becomes Ekara. It's a Guna sandhi. Ishwasaha. So here it is, and these examples are taken from the first chapter of Gita. So if you know Bhagavad Gita first chapter, you will find them familiar. So here you see Okara plus Akara, but the second vowel remains unchanged. Only the first becomes Vakara, and it's a Yana Sandhi. So what is Yana Sandhi? That Ikara, Okara, or Rukara, when they follow by vowel, when they are followed by a vowel, then you will have the second vowel remain the same. First one changes to this corresponding Yakara, Vakara, or Refa. Then Maha Ishu Vasa. So now I have put these three words together, and you see it becomes Maheshwasaha. Just them putting together. Nothing more than that. So Maha means great, Ishu means arrow, Asa means the one who throws the arrow, means great archers. So this is the word, this is what the word means. So here two sandhis are taking place in. When you see the text, you will find this word, for example, and when you try to split, you have to split into three words. But first two words Guna Sandhi and then Yana Sandhi. Then Bhishma Abhirakshitam. So this one is Bhishma Abhirakshitam. This is simply our Dirgha Sandhi. As we have seen, Akara plus Akara is Akara. Similarly, here also is a Dirgha Sandhi. Eva Abhirakshantu. Then Bhishma Abhirakshitam means protected by Bhishma from all around. And Eva Abhirakshantu. So this meaning of these words individually don't make sense. Only in the context of the verse it will make sense. And Eva, Bhishma is the name, and Abhirakshantu, here Duryodhana is asking his other warriors to protect Bhishma from all sides, so that if Bhishma is protected, he will protect everybody else. It's kind of, again, when you read the whole text, then these things become clear. So Vinadyo Chaihi, again here, Akara plus Okara is Okara. So it's a Guna Sandhi. Akara plus ukara is okara. Vinadya uchchaihi, making a loud sound. Yadi api. So here again yana sandhi, as you can see the second vowel remains unchanged, the first vowel changes into yakara. So with this, and if you can read the class notes of this class as well as do the exercises, you will get a pretty good idea about these sandhis. So with this, I conclude this portion of the class which I have to re-record to adjust for the disturbance in the recording, and now you can see the remaining portion which actually got recorded correctly. Thank you. Sorry about the disturbance in the original recording, but I hope that this portion which we re-recorded will give you the complete understanding of how these sandhis are working.
So now I want to actually take this time, which is about 15 minutes. I do not know how many of questions I would be able to address, but we'll see the remaining ones in the next class. So I want to see these questions which you have sent, and I'm just displaying here for your convenience for you can read. And if you have any, particularly the person who asked this question, if that person has any more questions correspondingly, you can send me a chat or raise your hand. I'll try to see if I can make you unmuted, and then you can ask any subsequent questions. But first, let us go through this. What can you say about the spoken Sanskrit? Was this the language spoken during the ancient times, during Mahabharata? When did it stop being the common spoken language? So Sanskrit was a spoken language, and Panini actually took all the styles which were being spoken those times. He also took all the scriptures or the books which people had written at the time, and he took all that information and came up with this grammar that how to write the rules to produce all those sort of words which people are speaking. Uh, During Mahabharata, for sure, it was spoken. Panini happened after Mahabharata. Patanjali was another great grammarian who happened after Panini, and he did not produce his original grammar, but he did comment on Panini and made a little bit suggestion that it should be like this, it should be like this. So he also said that the standard, what is the standard that grammar is right? He said the standard of grammar being right, that it actually represents the language of a cultured person. That was his idea. So if the way a cultured person is speaking the language, the grammar should reflect. Is Panini Ashtadhyaya available in PDF format? If so, can you share? I have already shared. So I'll just take you to the drive again, and because there are some questions related to drive itself. So this is our drive, and this folder particularly, like there's a document here, presentation. So I will update this document actually, and I'll put the date that when it was last updated, so you know that when it was last updated. This is another document I'll keep updating, useful links. And here if you look at, I have put in some links here for Panini, Ashtadhyaya and Dhatupada. You all have access to this document, and you could actually go to these documents, and if you are interested, Panini is not at all required for our discourse. It is actually considered very, very advanced. But if somebody is curious to see how Panini Ashtadhyaya looks like, they can take a look at these things and check it out. You mentioned that Panini's grammar came between 2600 and 5000 years ago, and he was able to find the most concise and perfect set of 4000 rules to explain the language. So this then means that the language was so perfect to begin with, that is, Panini was able to find the most concise grammar because of the language already was following those rules. And that we said. It's one way to look at it, that you could say the language had that perfection and Panini discovered it. Another way to look at it also is that a problem is given to you and you are asked to write a computer program to solve that problem. And computer program is of the nature that I need this output, and in this case output is those millions of words which are being used all over the Sanskrit literature and among people. That is my output, and I'll give you the freedom to create a program with inputs. And Panini happened to create a very, very compact and almost perfect program. So that is another way to look at it. It's interesting that while in Bengali all the S sounds sound the same, they each have precise names that map to Sanskrit. Antesa, Taradesha, Murdhanesha. I don't think Hindi has the same alphabet. Actually, as I explained earlier, most of the Indian languages they share the same alphabet coming from Sanskrit because they are derived from Sanskrit and they share the same alphabet. In some regions like Bengal, out during a period of time, the distinction was lost in the pronunciation of certain sounds, but the letters is still there. So, because they have lost the distinction in pronunciation in order to identify how those different letters are, they are actually referring to as Antesa, Talabisha, Mood, and Nisha. But if one is pronouncing correctly, you don't have to say like that because it comes out in pronunciation. It would be good to get the meaning of teacher student mantra from you as per the Sanskrit. I'll keep it for later because I'm hoping I would be able to cover the advanced concepts of Sanskrit in this class, and then we can actually see that how those concepts help us to get the meaning of that mantra. You have a point no all words dictionary. Can you clarify what you meant by this? Is this because the list of words would literally be endless? Is there any Sanskrit English dictionary online for Gita? So yes, that is the reason the word list would be endless. As I gave the example, the one word Rama in the nominal forms, it gives rise to the 24 forms. But and those are 24 are not the only ones. Similarly, Gam, the root word for meaning to go, it gives rise to 9 forms in the present tense. And if you take all the tenses, all the possible combinations, all the combinations which happen because of Sandhi and Samasa, it would be almost literally impossible actually to put together all the words because Sanskrit is so much flexibility in terms of creating new words. So that's the reason. How do you know which root word to use when they have the same meaning, like gum or ya? So when I was explaining the class for verbs, I told that gum is a root which means to go, and Sanskrit has many roots which have the same meaning. So one root has many meanings, and one meaning has multiple roots to cover it. How do I know? Actually, both are applicable. In some cases, there is a slight difference. In some cases, the differences are more negligible, and you can use either one, actually. So this gives a tremendous amount of flexibility to poets and writers that I'll use whatever I feel like and whatever suits my poem, actually. So in this particular case, gum and ya, they are pretty much interchangeable. Both mean to go, and it is purely up to the author or the speaker which word does he want to use. I was not mentioned in Taramukam and was pronounced in San Sugandhim. So this is related to my prayer here. We do the opening prayers of the class. And I'll increase the size so that you can see it clearly. So you see this Trayambakam Yajamahi. Because it's a Vedic mantra. So it's actually found in Veda, Yajurveda. It's a Mahamudra mantra. Vedic mantras have a little bit different style of chanting. And case, and that chanting has to be done properly. In this case, what has happened is this. This letter follows by this. There is a Sari rule which is not very common, but it actually can make the sound nasalized for both of them together instead of separating. So Trayambakanya Jamahe, something like this. So many people chant it like that. I was also chanting, but then I thought somebody suggested since it is written, many students will not know the difference. It is better to chant separately, and that is fine. But Trayambakam Yajamahe or Trayambakani Yajamahe, it can be chanted that way. Please tell us how to make the camera of ourselves muted. I hope you know if you pull the bar of the participant, you should be able to see short video. How to know which word is the root word from which many other words derive. It can only be known by practice or dictionary. Dictionary generally gives the root word. And I have, by the way, I have actually given you the link for dictionary here. So Sanskrit dictionary, there is a link for dictionary. So if you want to check the dictionary, you can. This is online dictionary. It actually is a collection of many dictionaries. So when you put in one word, it gives you the meaning from many dictionaries actually. There may be other sites which are having a specific dictionary. I just give you one of the links. So either from your own practice that you know which is the root word, or from the dictionary you can find it. What is the notation that you are using to denote the root words? Many times people actually put this notation. So for example, like root taken from the mathematics, gum, to indicate that this is a root word. Traditional Sanskrit does not have any special symbol for denoting root. It is just that root is just written just like that. But in our class, sometimes I use this just to identify that this is a root word which is different from other words. And sometimes many books also employ this. Can you please give examples of adverbs in Sanskrit? So this question is coming from, I discussed the types of words. There are three types of words: nominals, verbs, indeclinables, and one among the examples of indeclinables is adverb. In Sanskrit, adverb, as you know, adverb most likely that adverb tell you what the verb is doing. So if you just like adjective is for noun, it describes the noun. Adverb describes the verb. So one of the example is shigram. Shigra means quickly or fast. So saha shigram gachati, he goes fast. So this is one of the examples of adverb. I have still a question about pronunciation of visarga. This should be visarga most likely. When is it like silent edge and when it is like ha at the end of the word. So visarga sound is always the sound of exhalation. That is visarga sound. So like amaha, this is how the visarga sound is. We put a dot under edge in the Roman script, and in Devanagari it's like two dots. So it never appears independently. It always follows a vowel, not in a consonant. You can never have a visarga after the consonant sound. It will always be after a vowel sound. So in this case it is after akara, and the way you pronounce is vamaha. It would be something of an exhalation sound. On the other hand, there is a sound of hakara. There is an independent consonant, hakara, which as a consonant can be pronounced along with the vowel. It is called ha, harara. It's very similar, but just the difference that this is the sound of a exhalation always follows vowel. This is an independent consonant sound. how do I recognize where to join and which letters to emphasize? In Sanskrit, the emphasis is essentially not there. So there is a concept of accent which was only in Vedic Sanskrit. In the Sanskrit which we are studying, which we are calling classical Sanskrit, there is no emphasis on particular letter. We do not have any accents in Sanskrit. The way you pronounce Sanskrit is you just pronounce as the individual letters. As I said, you just pronounce letter after letter and the sound of the word will come. There is rule though, and rule is that when you are pronouncing a short vowel and when you are pronouncing a long vowel, the duration of the sound for long vowel is twice the duration of the sound of pronunciation of the short vowel. So that's the rule in case of pronunciation. Many people are not able to follow it. It requires a little bit of training. I myself never underwent any formal such training. By virtue of that, I've been reading this script since long. I pronounce them, but that is the rule. That long vowels have the duration of pronunciation twice than the short vowels. And as you know, the consonants they always will be pronounced like consonant cannot be pronounced independently. So they will always be pronounced with the help of a vowel. So syllables always having a vowel. So syllable, short syllable would be half the duration of pronunciation than long syllable. That's the. So we have covered what is the difference between Hindi and Sanskrit. They are two different languages. They just happen to share the same script, Devanagari, but they are two different languages. And Hindi is derived from Sanskrit, so lot of words may be common, but otherwise they are two different languages. So now we are already end of our time. I would take these questions probably in the next class. I'll send you some exercises for the Sunday. I put it as homework. I'll also recommend you to, if you have not downloaded already or if you don't have Egenes book, go through the Egenes book, chapter 1, 2, 3, and you can submit the exercise from lesson 1 to 3 as your homework also from Egenes book. It's a good book actually for somebody who is just beginning to learn Sanskrit. And it's available for us. I actually already took Dr. Egenes' permission to include his course, include the material from his book into our course material. So please go through this. You should be able to understand the 3 chapters. Before I end the class, I just want to tell a few things because some people have a concern. In Egenes' book, there are some vowels which he has used in the older style of Devanagari and not the latest style. So why has he done that way, I do not know, but I want to just show you that this is how it is actually. So Egenes' book is using the classical and we are using the modern version, so to speak. And we will also have all the class participants actually to do the same thing. So you do not get confused. There are only primarily difference in 3 letters. Akara, so all the letters where Akara is there, it is in the modern. Then Jha, Jhakara, and Akara. Lakara is not really so much different, you can actually manage. But these 3 letters are different and use the modern version. Not the Egenes himself has given one place that what are those versions actually. And Sanskrit 2003 font, some people have questions related to the font. You cannot directly type in the word using that font. There may be some software, some fonts which allow you to directly type in the Word document. I do not know. I can check on the web or you can search and find out. But This Sanskrit 2003 font is just an additional font which makes the letter look nice. There are other fonts which are available by default and work fine too. So if you want to just the way to type Sanskrit on computer is using the tool Sanskrit, which I've shown you already. I do not know if you can type directly into a Word document using Sanskrit 2003 or another Unicode font. Uh, there is a way, but that is very tedious and that involves using your number lock pad key and using the 4-digit code for every single letter. That is practically not a very good idea except if you want to type only one or two letters. And people who are more used to computers, they might know that trick. There's a Unicode mapping available on the web of all the Unicode characters and corresponding decimal codes. Somebody could choose to use those decimal codes and type, but not a very practical way if you want to type anything long. So with this, I would close the class. We'll say our prayers. And I'll take all these questions, remaining questions, into the next class. So feel free to send more questions if you have on the email. So सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Thank you.